Rob, the regime seems to be upping the stakes, cracking down on the protesters, and yet there has been a strong response to calls for a general strike and more protests.
Yeah, that does seem to be right. I mean, the regime is definitely cracking down even harder because effectively it's got nowhere else to go. For both sides in this conflict, it's becoming existential now. If the demonstrators don't manage to get rid of the military, they know they've got a military dictatorship ahead of them, perhaps for decades. If the military lose this, they know that there's no going back to the sort of control they had over society in Myanmar in the past. So it really is an arm wrestle. And the violence from the military authorities has increased as a consequence. Yesterday we saw another 3 people shot dead, lots of arrests across the country, occupations of hospitals, occupations of universities, crackdown on media outlets with licenses being revoked from 5 organizations. But at the same time, you're right that the organization of the resistance is getting stronger as well. Unions coming on board with the opposition to the military, 9 of them joining together to announce a national strike on Monday, which seems to have been pretty successful, affecting lots of cities around the country, closing down the railways, closing down the banks, shutting shopping malls and shops. Many government ministries also forced to close. So, this really is turning into a big battle now. And I think both sides know, it's not about sanctions or anything else. It's which side is going to have the determination and the resilience to see this through.
And not just the resilience, there's also a need for some sort of political organization. And there has been talk of a provisional government that would oppose the military regime. What's happening with that?
Yes, I mean, that is one of the most recent developments. It seems that about 17 deputies from the parliament that should have been before the military cracked down on society in Myanmar, have set up a committee for the representation of the Myanmar parliament. Most deputies are in hiding or under arrest. These ones have managed to put this committee together and do appear to be on the way to setting up some form of underground or intermediate government. They claim to have 4 ministers already. They've announced a representative to the United Nations. And interestingly, and perhaps most importantly, from the point of view of their likely success in the future, they're trying to establish contact with local administrations around the country to organize civil disobedience to the military authorities. They claim that in Mandalay region, one of the most heavily populated in the country, 82% of local authorities are cooperating with them, and that in Yangon region, the economic capital of the country, 34 out of 45 districts are working with them. That, just how true that is and to what extent, who knows really. But it is clear that the signs of organization are beginning to develop.
Rob, thank you for that. France 24's chief foreign editor, Robert Parsons.